So I commonly run into a lot of people that are always go, 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 go. I got to pick up my kids at 5 p.m. I got to be on time for my dentist appointment. I got to be in time for my job. I got to do business right. I got to do X, Y, and Z. And this is mainly something, especially I personally live in California, I have seen. California has a nature of the go, go, go mentality because it's so costly. There's a lot of people out here. And I know it's just not California. I know it's a Western culture thing, but I commonly see it more specifically in California than probably any other place in the nation, other than maybe New York City or Chicago. It's a very gung-ho state. It's a very gung-ho place. But regardless of that, in our culture today, we have this thing called hustle culture that's been probably more prominent in existence for the last 10, 15 years, I would say. And it's existed before that as well. But it's really destroyed so many people's lives because it has decimated at times their livelihood. They solely rely on, I gotta hustle to make more money. I gotta do this to earn more bread. And people don't slow down. People just want to continuously perpetuate this, I gotta do it now or else mentality. And I feel like it's really continuously year in and year out, year over year, destroying people and in their lives. And people don't know when to stop. I know some friends of mine and people I've talked to within this last few years that they're like, yeah, no, I'm on the brink of doing this or brink of doing that or getting this degree or getting that. And that's great. But you could tell they're pretty miserable. I'm like, yeah, but how do you actually feel? How do you actually feel about it? And a lot of them will lie and say, oh, I feel great. I feel this and that. But then when I get down to the nitty gritty, they're always like, yeah, but I could have went this route instead. Maybe it wasn't all worth it. And again, there's nothing wrong with working hard and being successful and trying to hustle as much as you want, but know the system that you're in. Know the system you're in. You're in a system that is controlled by the top elitist class of the world, such as Vanguard, State Street, BlackRock, Microsoft, Apple, you name it. These guys control the way your world is. The reason why you have to get this job or this thing or this degree is because ultimately what? You want to make more money so that you can compete with your neighbor next to you that has XYZ in their driveway, right? America has always been about keeping up with the Joneses. Let's be quite frank here. Let's not sugarcoat anything. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting, honestly. It is wretched what people, the ends that people will go just to keep up this fake lifestyle that everyone says they're truly happy in. And I say no to it personally. I say people should be themselves and not care too intently on how much money you're going to make, because people in America have a problem, and in society in general, with hoarding too much stuff, hoarding too much belongings that they don't need. They don't need. Half the shit that you have in your house or in your apartment, you know that you don't need it, but you want it because someone else told you to get it. And there could have been a video, there could have been a person, there could have been maybe a coworker that had given you that thought or that mindset that you need it. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have things in life. No. But don't compound your life with excess stuff you know for sure that you don't need, and then try to compete in this hustle culture to get it. The only reason why you're in hustle culture is to what? Make more money. That is what everybody in today's day and age is trying to do. And the funniest part about it is that all the people that are in hustle culture are still broke. Figure that. All the people that are generally in hustle culture, that are in the 90 percentile of the working class, which is that, the ones that are trying to be entrepreneurs or successful business owners or whatever the hell they've been spoon-fed on the internet that told them you could do this too, these people are still broke. And they're still unhappy with their lives. No matter how many times they own property or own a boat or rental properties or just a house or a condo or whatever, or taking excess amount of vacations with the family, they are still unhappy individuals deep down, and they know it, and they just don't want to admit it. And some of these people are psychopaths. They actually think because they got to a certain level of their career that they can go around belittling people and putting people down and mistreating them. Like these people literally that are making only a couple $100,000 a year, if that, really think they can go around and belittle everybody just because of dollar signs. Dollar signs. I mean, it's outrageous. So I'll give you an example. I was at my workplace about a week ago, and my coworker was handling this customer, and it was actually two customers. And one of the customers, in our line of work, we have to sign contracts for certain people, and people come in and, they need to sign agreements with us, right? And this lady came in, there was a guy and a girl. I presume that they were a couple. But the girl was all like, I gotta go, I don't have time for this. And the guy's like, well, we gotta sign this. And I kind of started hearing about what he was saying. He started making comparisons and analogies with hospital billing, the way our contract was kind of written and given to him. So, he was trying to explain to his girlfriend, like, hey, this is similar to this is similar to that. And she just did not want to hear it. She was go, 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 go. I got to go meet Chase. I got to go meet Gilbert. I got to go meet this one, that one. I have shit to do. I have 6 o'clock meetings. And I was just like, man, if I was that dude, I would fucking absolutely divorce and or break up with that chick instantly. Like, I do not want a woman like that in my life. And if that's how most women are today, which most likely they are, I do not want it. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thanks, man. If you are going to act that ridiculous in front of the public like that, even though, we're just employees at this job, still, like, you're in public, you're going to act like that? Like, no thanks. I would be embarrassed if I was the dude. Oh my gosh, man. So, of course, the guy was like, okay, yeah, go do your thing. And she needed to be there for part of the contract signing, and then she didn't need to be there anymore. So she literally just took off. It's like, okay, I'm going to go pick up so-and-so. And he's like, all right, yeah, I'll see you later. And it just, again, these obligations that these people nowadays have are so minuscule, and yet they put so much importance on it. They put so much bullshit into it, whether they have work the next day and they got to pick a family member up and they're like, oh, I'm in a time crunch. It's like, it's not that big of a deal, dude. Your job's going to move on. And if you feel that ill will about it, most companies nowadays will give you sick time or some level of that. Not a lot, but they'll at least give you a day. Like, just call out sick, worst case scenario. Why are you making such a big deal about it? And this is what, again, hustle culture has done. is it's destroyed a level of decency in human beings. And this is exactly what, in my last video, I talked about corporations brainwashing people into thinking they need all this shit when they don't. It's just a great big marketing tactic. My hope and my standing is that when all is said and done, when the government no longer has the money to spend and they print our currency into oblivion, we convert over to digital currency, and we do all this AI stuff, my honest hope and strong belief, my hope is that people will resist it and not want it anyway. And they won't have enough product market fit, so to speak, to be able to sell all this technology that they want to impose on the public. And my belief is that the younger generation will hopefully swerve away from it. And anybody that's caught up in it, it'll be a small percentage or a small fraction that, companies will realize, okay, we're losing money because we're not actually listening to what people want and what they need, but we're giving them what we think they need. And I think that's the separation, is that between the big companies and us, there is a divide, but there needs to be a fine line between, what we want versus what they want. And we need to be able to dictate what we want comes first before what they want, and take it back and the power into our own hands. And that doesn't mean by force or by violence. It just means by literally the power of our wallets. And I think as we begin to scale back on consumerism and trying to always keep up with the Joneses, this hustle culture will start to become a thing of the past. It's not really long-term needed, I don't think, but I could be wrong. It's needed right now, and it's been needed the last, 10 or so years, 15 years or so, but that's only because someone at some point in time went on a stage and said, you have to do this because this is the future. It's always some, rich, and nothing against people who are rich or wealthy. I'm not saying you can't do that or be that. I know I probably come across as like, oh, this guy's anti-capitalist, he's a socialist, whatever. No, I'm not. I realize that those infrastructures don't always work. History speaks. But what I'm saying is that most of the time, these people who plant these illusionary ideas into your brain are the rich and the powerful. And I think that's pretty obvious and pretty known. And if it isn't, now you know. And I think once we begin to listen to each other more rather than them on what we want versus what they want, I think society will come back to a better place. A place in which hopefully there's love and harmony and peace and all these things that I truly hope for, but what I hope for is probably not going to happen. Just because of the way human beings are and their very nature, right? But the hope is that we can reduce some of these problems. We can't solve it all, but we can reduce some of these issues by really having honest discussions about these things. Whether it's us talking about it like here on a social media platform, or whether it's talking about it with coworkers at work when you're away from managers or friends or family, I don't know what. But discussions need to be had, and I think YouTube is probably the best source of that, because the internet, you can scale the internet so vastly. This message could be heard all across the world rather than just in my home territory. So hustle culture and constantly being like, go, 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 I have to rush, I have to do this, that is mainly a Western American type of thing, for sure. If you go to even other countries in the West, they'll even say, yeah, we're not even as hustle culture as, your country. Like, America has a tendency to do that. But especially in California, going back to it, I've noticed that while living out here, for the 15 years that I have, there's a big push for that out here. And I'm sick of it, to be honest. Even driving down the road on the freeways or the public roads, like I'll notice people are so antsy. They're tailgating. They're constantly cutting in and out of lanes. You know, you have these big trucks where I live that just like gun it. It's like these Ford F-150s trying to go over 100 miles an hour in a 45 zone. It's like, dude, chill out. You're going to get yourself killed one day. Mark my words. But yeah, I've noticed that there's this big, you know, go, go, go feel no matter where I am, whether it's in the grocery store, whether it's at work, whether it's me out and about with friends, although I do tend to have a little bit less feeling of that, but at times I still do. Americans have literally put themselves under a time crunch that is generally not needed. You do not need to participate in the way that this is. The only reason why you feel you need to participate is because somebody else down the way told you you need to. Whether it was a boss, a coworker, a parent, a CEO, whoever. The only reason why you're doing that is because you've been told to do that. But I'm here to tell you today, you don't. You do not have to subscribe to that. You can live a totally successful lifestyle without having to, I think personally, you know, go into this mentality that for 90% of the time, hustle culture, a lot of people are failing in. And even if they are making, quote unquote, more money, they're still living unhappy lives, and then they still, somewhere down the line, end up in debt or end up broke, right? So really try to think about your life in the lens of not only being free and having freedom, but slowing down. Because if you don't do that, it's going to be bad for your mental health. It's going to be bad for you as a whole. You know, it's terrible. It's terrible what I see these young people like constantly thinking that they have to be. And I'm young myself. You know, I'm 31 years old, which for the Gen Zers, they think that I'm like 50 years old at that age. But for a vast majority of people, if you're in your early 30s, you're still fairly young, right? I'm not the youngest I was in my 20s, but I'm still fairly young. So for the fairly to very young people, like you have a whole life ahead of you, and times change, sequences change, right? Revolutions go on. New revolutions are formed. Or revelations, I should say. Revolutions, revelations, whatever you want to say. So just slow down. Don't worry about what Mr. Jones or Miss Jackson is doing down the way. You'll find your own path. Life is not a straight upward arrow. It's 9 times out of 10 a spiraling frisbee. Or maybe not a frisbee, but it's a spiraling up and down trend. That's how this life is. So the people who are teaching you it's all up from here, if you just do 4 years here in college, graduate, and then do a master's program, and then get into this training program that'll lead you into this career path, I'm here to tell you that for some that will work, but most it will not. And even if it does work for you, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be unsatisfied with your job. How do I know that? Because if we follow data and statistics, it shows that I think something like 70 or 80% of people are unhappy with their jobs in the workforce today. So I rest my case. You guys have a good weekend. Have a good rest of your day. I will see you guys next time. Peace.